My friends, we just completed a 4-hour Dominate the Fretboard with my top hacks broadcast this Saturday. We just got done. And we had a course that went along with that we provided for free for our students. Well, now that that's over, I wanted to make at least this video available to you. Actually, I'll make them all available to you along with all the offers and what have you that will be available through Wednesday. I want you to check this out. Again, check the links below. We'll give you access to all the offers that will be available until the 30th at midnight, and it will also give you access to the course here. All right, check this out. Let's talk about practical applications for the CAGED system. So you may be saying to yourself, how will I actually use this? And I'm glad you asked, because I'm going to show you two ways that you can use this just right off the bat. And those two ways are, number one, to make a song easier to play. I guess we can also throw in there just changing the key for some reason if you need to change the key, but making the song easier to play. So I'll explain that in a moment. And number two is for stacking in the studio. So when we stack guitars, if you're playing many guitar parts, you might want to play in different places on the neck, because if you're playing in the same place on the neck, what happens with music is they mask each other. So frequencies mask each other. So if you can imagine 10 people in a room talking and they all have the same voice, then it's going to be very hard to decipher the difference. But if you hear one person has a super low voice and somebody else who has a super high voice, you'd be able to hear their conversations because you've got something to hold on to. And similarly, when we're recording in the studio or playing guitar parts live, this could be for live as well, you want to use some different frequencies. So if one guitar player is playing in a different frequency or in a specific frequency zone, you might want to choose a different frequency zone in order to play in so that you're not stepping on top of them, musically speaking, that is. Okay, so those are the two main reasons why we would want to do that. Let's take a look at some examples here. So, using La Bamba. Okay, if we wanted to play that song and we didn't want to use an F chord, let's say we don't like the F chord or we feel we can't play it today or something. Well, using the Capo will help make chords easier. It can help make chords easier. It doesn't always work, but 99% of the time it works great. So one way that we can do this, and it's super easy to do, is by just identifying where the bass notes are at. So in this case here, we have a bass note on the 3rd fret, another one on the 3rd fret, and another one on the 1st fret. So C, F, G, F. So we know that there's a C and a G here. So if we think about this concept of there being an F here as well, using our movable springboards here, but here's my F. If I go down 2 frets, or down 2 strings and up 2 frets, this is an F here. So now we have all 3 of those bass notes on the 3rd fret. So if I were to capo the 3rd fret now, well, now I could use different forms of those chords. We're going to pull those straight out of the CAGED system, right? In this case here, we're using the C form, the F, the G, and the F forms, but we're also using those chords as well. So if we capo here at the 3rd fret, now I could think about my bass notes. It's literally as simple as thinking about what the bass notes are and what string they're on, and then forming the chord. So now my bass notes are, and those are all open. So I could go A form, D form, E form, back to D form. And you can hear that it's very similar to, right? You could have another guitar playing that part on top and it would match. It would work musically. Now, a few different ways that you can think about this. You can think about the bass notes. So you could say, well, I know we were doing C, F, and G before, so now here's a C, F, and G. Okay, well then I'll capo there. Or you could just bring your capo over to where you have a lot of open notes. But as you're going to see, there's many different ways that we can do this. Here we're using the A form, the D form, and the E form, and those are all open string forms. So now, if we wanted to do this another way, we could say, let's find our C, since we're in the key of C, and here's another C. So what we could do is if we wanted to do this, say like in the G form, then I could scooch this up here and play this. There's our bass note, and then the rest of the chord would ring out. Now, how did I know to put my capo there? Well, through practice, but for you and for me at first, you might do some trial and error, and you're going to go play your chord, and you're going to hear that, and you're going to say, well, that isn't right, and you're going to move it up here, and you're going to go, well, that isn't right. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it's a space and then the capo. You're going to figure this out as you go along, but you have to get your feet wet, okay? It's not just, you have to get involved with this sort of thing, otherwise it's never going to come to you, but from just someone telling you. You have to get involved, right? So this is why you'll want to apply these applications that I'm showing to you now, right? So there's a G form, but it's a C note. And so we could go, okay, we could identify this by just our ear, or we could use music theory. So in this case here, here's a C, here's an F, there's a G, or so in this case here we have a G, and we know that's a G form, and that's the one we would use because it's a G bass note, or what we're calling a G form bass note, right? Because it looks like a G chord. And then we have, so now we have a G form, C form, D form, calling them forms because that's not the actual chords anymore now that we've capoed, right? So same song. And back here. Or in the open position. And you'll find that, okay, so we have 1, 2, we moved it here. We could move it here and do another position. Except now we'd have a bar chord. So we'd have an E major, A major, B, back to our A major forms. Okay, but we're still playing the same C, F, and G, right? This would be the C chord, this would be the F chord, this would be the G chord, this would be the F chord. Chords, not forms. The forms are the way our fingers look, right? So now you might be saying to yourself, Eric, how can I do it that quick, as quickly as you did it? Remember, I've been doing this for quite a while, so I'm going to be able to do it. Chances are I'm going to be able to do it a little faster than you. But the only way to do something fast is to first do it slow, and then to do it a little bit faster than that, and so on and so forth, right? Just like you've learned to run by learning to walk, and you didn't learn to walk before you learned to crawl, right? So it's a process. Just trust the process. Lean into it. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. But here is a way that you can practically apply this. Now, as far as making the songs easier, you can see if you don't like the F form, you don't like an E form or something, you switch it around till you find the forms that you want. And then as far as playing in the studio, you saw that we could play it 4 different ways there. And if I did that, then you're going to have just a really big guitar sound because it's going to be filling up all these different spaces in the sonic spectrum. Okay, so have fun with this. Dig into this, take your time with this, make sure that you understand the concepts, okay? Because you've taken the time to watch this video, understand the concept, dig in. This is where the really good stuff happens. This is where guitar players are forged in these moments where you're like, Can I do this? Of course you can do it, but it's not going to just come like that. If you expect it that it's going to just come like that, you're going to be disappointed. But with time, with practice, you're going to get this, I promise. Let's keep going.